Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today's card is called a bandstand fun fold, and when I first saw one of these on Pinterest, the person said that they were inspired by iced images out of the UK, and then Susan Campfield came up with the US directions and measurements. So I want to show you how easy this is to make. I used this awesome paper that's on celebration right now, the Toadstool Gardens, with all these beautiful bright colors like Granny Apple Green and the I want to say Petunia Pop, but it's not Petunia Pop, it is a Melon Mambo. And we've got some pumpkin pie in there and some fresh freesia. Oh, I just love this paper. So I thought this was a great one because it's kind of a pop out fun fold. It pops out, and popping up to say hi is in the terrific Toadstools stamp set. So you've got popping up to say bye, you are magical, just a little thank you, these great little mushrooms, and it comes with a punch. There you can see the stem, and it cuts out this oval one and this little one that has a little toadstool cap there. So let me show you how super simple this is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is start out with a piece for our card base, and that is simply 4 1/4, and it's 5 3/8, so just 1/8 off of 5 1/2, which is our 1/4 of our cardstock. So it's going to fit into an A2 size card. If you're wondering, when people throw away round terms like that, A2 sized is the normal size that we make with half of a sheet of cardstock, either in a landscape or a portrait position. So these two pieces are going to be folding in here. You're going to score that at 3/4 of an inch on each side. So if you put it into your scoring tool, you'll just score 3 1/4, and so much easier just to go over and do 3 1/4 instead of getting into eighths and all that stuff. But you'll know that this is 5 3/8, and then score in 3/4, turn it, and at 3/4 again. That's simply your card base. We're going to fill in these pieces here with some DSP. Now the piece that's going in the back here, it is 3 5/8. No, 3 and, oh, what did I, it can't be 3. Yeah, 3 5/8. Yes, it's 3 5/8. I was right. I have had so many measurements going on in my head today. When I did cut this, now let me see if I did it on this one. Yes, I did cut it so that they match up. Okay, so when you're putting it into your, what I did is I took a piece of paper and I turned it this way, and I made it 4 inches. So I cut it at the 4-inch mark because I knew it would be 4 inches tall, right? So I turned it and did 4, and then I just worked from that. So what I did is, let's pretend this is 4. I first put it into my cutter, and I looked at the measurements up here, and I went a 1/2 inch, cut it off. Then I went 3 5/8, cut it off. Then I went another 1/2 inch, and then that ended up making them be right in a row. Okay, so that's, but this paper, I noticed on some other, I made some for a swap, and I didn't actually do that on each one. I just kind of stripped them, and you really can't tell because the card folds in a little bit. You really can't tell on this one that they're not matched up, because of the way the Melon Mambo peeks through whatever color on your card base. So you don't have to be that meticulous about it. But these two pieces here are a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4, and the one in the middle is 3 5/8 by 4. So they're both, did I say 4 inches tall? Yes, okay. So that is our back. So let's go ahead and get my glue out here that was working a moment ago. But let's just be safe and give them a little jab there. Okay, so let's put this 1/2 one on here. See, this actually is very pretty pattern too. The this cross hatching with the Melon Mambo. All of the patterns in this paper really coordinate beautifully together. Like I said, I made a lot of these cards, and I kind of mixed and matched all the backs, whatever pieces were my arm's getting exercise, whatever of my pieces were. Okay, I should have opened up a new glue before we started, but we should be okay here. Make sure I'm putting that going in the right direction. And once again, that's 1/2 inch by 4 tall. And just get it so it's straight there. Okay, and then we'll put this one in. Maybe this wasn't the glue that I was using earlier. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, this is the one that's working. I love Tombow glue, but it can be a little ornery. Okay, make sure we're doing it the right way, getting it in the right, or you know, not upside down, so that our grass and our mushrooms, and I'm just trying to make sure I have an equal amount top, bottom, and the 2 sides there. So that's the inside of the card that peeks through. As you see, I use different patterns on here. And so on this one here, I'm going to now show you the 2 pieces that go around here. Now, you can go ahead and cut this to 2.5 by 7. So if you have your, 8.5, just cut it down to 7, but you need 2.5, and then you're going to cut them in half, so they're 1.25. So if you're going to make a lot of cards like I did for a swap, I just did one whole 8.5 by 11, cut it down to 7, and I did all my scoring. Then I turned it and went 1.25, 1.25, 1.25. But if you were, say, to get this in a kit, you could say this is 2.5 by 7, and we scored it at 3/4. Whoa. We scored it at 3/4, 2.5, 4.5, and 6.25. 3/4, 2.5, 4.5, 6.25. And you simply are going to be folding these, and they're going to go down on the bottom of the card like that. And there is no reason why we can't do that right now. I like to fold in on that mountain side there, okay? And when you do this, I suggest you keep your card nice and flat, because that's the way it's actually going to work in the envelope, right? So just put some glue here, and then you can just put it around to the edge here. Make sure that it is flush with the bottom, okay? It's actually works once you get the other side on a little better, and then you can put some pressure there. Then we're going to put some glue on this flap here. And like I said, making sure that when we're putting it under, that we're keeping our card nice and flat, because that's the initial, that is the final result, is that it stays down flat in the card. So, okay, we're gonna pop that one there and make sure it's flush with the top. Like I said, it gets a little bit easier to put it when you actually get the next piece, the next flap glued down there, okay? I tell you, I didn't think I was going to be going for these toadstools, and then I just caved and I loved it. So you can mostly tell here if you're, this is, here we go, little wiggle room here. There we go. We want to get it right so it's flush with the top, and then put it on the bottom. If you want to, now I used the same color cardstock. I am not, believe it or not, I am not bothered with seeing these squares on the back. But if you wanted to put another piece of DSP, 1/2 inches, you could here, 1/2 inch wide, you could, but I didn't think it was necessary actually. Doesn't bother me. Okay, so there we go. And then it's going to make the bandstand. But now we have to fill in these little scored areas. This was here scored is 1 3/4. So that made your pieces, and you're going to need 4 of them because you have 1, 2, 3, 4. These pieces are, okay, that's the middle one. These pieces are 1 inch. They're 1 inch, 1 inch tall, and then the width of them is 1 1/2, 1 1/2, 1 1/2, 1 1/2, and 1 3/4, okay? So the 1 3/4 by 1 go in the middle, and then these, and as you see, this cross hatching is very forgiving because I did have them all organized in the proper way, in order, and then I just messed them all up. So just put those on so that you have that little border around your little scored rectangle. And again, the ones on the side are 1 1/2 inches wide, and the one in the middle is 1 3/4. And of course, they're all 1 inch tall. And when I cut this paper, remember whenever I started out with the 6 by 6, if you cut off 1 inch, okay, turn it this way and cut it at 4, turn it back, and if you slide it from 6 to 5 and cut off 1 inch, then cut it again at 4, you have your 2 pieces that cut all these that come off the back of here. So you're really only using a 4-inch piece, and then you have the strip left over, which is nice. So just turn that paper, make it so that it's 4 inches, and make sure you're cutting it in the right way, because one of the papers, when you turn it over on this toadstool paper, this one, these are the reverse sides, but this is the good side, but on the back they would be upside down, so you have to pay attention to which way the leaves are going. So there we go. Okay, but you can see how you could easily use those green leaves also on this card, depending on, you know, what you want to do. They all the papers really work well together with the colors. Okay, so there you go. Look at that. You fold in here, and then you fold on these score lines, and it gives you that neat fun fold that looks like this. So then we just have to come up with what goes in the middle. That holds this together. Some people I've seen put acetate in there and then put something on there. I thought I'd use one of the arches in the Everyday Arches die set. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use green or white, which would pop, so I decided to put green on this one and do white here. Now, there are some stamps in that stamp set here. It has this little ground cover here, got some mushrooms, and I was thinking, and here I just used the leaf that's here, this leaf, and I just gave something behind it. So I'm wondering if I should do that here. It mimics these leaves here. I'm wondering if I want to do that, or I want to do that ground cover. I'm just afraid if I do that ground cover that if it doesn't turn out right, perfect, it's going to mess up the I'm going to get a piece of scratch paper here to stamp on here, because it might come off a little bit on the bottom. So we'll just go with the leaves again. Okay, we're just gonna use these leaves. I'm just gonna put some coming up here from the bottom. You could also cut your paper, stamp these, and then die cut it if you would like, and you'd know where they're at, but either way works. Okay, and that is going to be what goes on here. And it's not to say that we can't play around here and see what it's going to look like. I think I did it a little bit there. I wanted to see a little bit of pink on the top and the bottom, and so I know I popped up the popping up, but I did not, I put this flat. So we're just going to kind of take a look and see. We have a little there, a little bit more down there. We're going to go ahead and put some glue. Why don't we just put the glue on here? Then I won't have to worry about, if I put the glue on here, I don't have to worry if I got too much glue too far down on or too far up, and then it would glue to the inside of there. So I can just do a little wiggling here and see, okay, it's kind of funny how that arch fits right in there. And then, yeah, that's gonna work. So I'm just gonna hold it there, and that's our focal point. And then I popped up the sentiment. There we go. I'm gonna put my sentiments down towards the bottom of the sentiment tag. And I got this out of the Unbounded Love dies. This cut out perfect, cut out that really perfectly. I'm gonna flatten that out. That is how you get that to stick, okay? I forgot how you could just flatten that down. I just wanna make sure that this is like centered. Okay, popping up to say hi, stamp that in Melon Mambo. Now I'm gonna tuck in my mushrooms. Neat thing about this set has these mushrooms, and I decided to pull out some of the colors in here, and I made a stem in basic gray, and I'm just popping that in from the side here. And what's nice about this one is those mushrooms really can go either way. They can, I was trying to figure out now which way was it going. So I used gray granite and basic gray for my mushrooms. There we go. And those are gonna be my little stems. And then I stamped the mushrooms here. The cool thing about this punch is it is made to cut a little bit of the color. So you're not gonna have the white paper showing. So can you see there? It's not like you're gonna see that little bit of white around it. So it was purposely, I don't know if I got something on there. Oh well, mushrooms always have like a unique look to them, right? So there's our pumpkin pie one. And we're going to do always look at your punch before you stamp, which I did, but just take a good look, because say you would have not had enough, like I always tell the girls, look at the punch, then stamp according to the way you can push it into the punch. Okay. Melon Mambo mushroom. Set that mushroom punch aside, and we're going to pop on these. I put an orange one. Oh, you know what I saw there? You know how sometimes when you first get your punches, they're oiled a little bit, and so that's what was causing them. That's what I looked there. Okay, but that should dry. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the top of my stem and put it onto that mushroom. And then we're going to take our gray one and do the same thing. Put it right, I think I'll just stick it right like that. And there we go. Got a little, let me pull that down there. Okay, then I went ahead and put dimensionals on the back, and I didn't even put any glue on the bottom of the stems because I'm tucking them under the sentiment, so you won't have to worry about that because they'll be nice and secure with the dimensionals on there. Okay, one more here, and we're going to put this one a little bit. Oh, I guess I didn't need this dimensional over here because he's gonna stick the card to itself. So there we go. I just needed one there. Save that dimensional for later. And put the pink one on, and I overlapped the pink one just a tad. And I technically didn't figure out what embellishments, you know, I can't make a card without some kind of jewel or shiny thing on there, but I'll figure out something else to put on there. But isn't that adorable? And see how easy that was? You just started out with a 4 1/4 by 5 3/8, and then you scored it in on each side 3/4. And then the DSP that went in there was a 1/2 inch by 4. And then these two pieces, we cut it to 7 inches, turned it and made it 2 1/2 by 7, scored it. And all these measurements and all the products I use are underneath the YouTube description, but also underneath in that description, it says visit my blog here. You press that link, it takes you over to cindyleebedesigns.com. But on those, these strips, you score them at 3/4, 2 1/2, 4 1/2, 6 1/4. It leaves this little 3/4 inch that folds back around that, and then you just put these little pieces in here. The middle ones are 1 3/4, and these ones are 1 1/2. They're 1 inch tall, so if you take a strip that you've cut off of your paper that's 1 inch, just cut 1/2, 1 3/4, and another 1/2, 1 1/2, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 1 1/2, and that is how easy it is. You can just pop on the back. Ooh, I'll show you. I did put some little mushrooms there. I used gray, as my little grandson calls his blankie that's gray. He calls it gray, and it's so cute how when I get him up from his nap and when I get him up in the morning, he'll be like, Gray, Gray. I'm like, okay, Gray can come with us. And then when it's nap time, I'm like, let's go make sure Gray is in there for you. But oh, it's so adorable. Okay, so I figured I would put some gray granite stems. I'm going to shut this stamp set before I make a mess. And I'm just going to put some pumpkin pie mushroom caps here. Nice thing about this is they're supposed to go into the orange, so that is nice, into the pumpkin pie. So that's my back. And of course, this piece is the same size as that DSP that's in the middle. That isn't the one I was using. This is the one that I was using that had glue in it. I know, you must get terribly annoyed at watching me fight with my glue. Okay. You know, I wish I could say that I had another brand new one here, but we'll make do. Okay, and there we go. We can put that, make sure we're looking at it the right way, and it does go flat, so you don't have to sit there and try to, you know, put that on. Looks like I got a little pink on there. Oh, it was probably on my desk. But isn't that the cutest fun fold? Adorable. And I think the popping up with the mushrooms was a great card to use. I don't know that I've seen this on Pinterest, anybody doing a bandstand with the mushrooms, but I thought it really did work well with the popping up cinnamon. So that's the terrific toadstools with the toadstool punch, builder punch. And you can get, for a $60 order, if you wanted to, that's actually probably only, I think, around in the $38 range. If you add something else to it to make it up to $60, you can get this paper, the Toadstool Gardens, for free as a gift. So there you guys go. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. You can give me a call at 724-323-2296 or text me. Or if you make one of these bandstand cards using a different stamp set, different paper, and all that, please send me a picture. I love that. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.